So, what's the plan this time, Vanjik?
Why are you asking me what's the plan? Shouldn't I be asking you what's the plan?
What? You're a Vanjik. Go grab the .44 Magnum and solve this problem.
Okay, I swear we go through this weekly. My timeline is normal. There's no multiversal invasions, there's no world wars, there's no civil wars. We currently do not have some freakish imposter of me trying to invade the multiverse. Why would I grab the .44 Magnum and do something about it?
People are going to starve if we don't solve this food issue.
Yeah, and I'm going to starve to death too if I don't get $20 to somehow make my way to McDonald's. Look, I hate to break it to you, man, but with the amount of bullshit happening in life right now, do you really think this is even on the top 10 list of most people's concerns?
I think it will be your concern. If this goes on for an extended period of time, you might as well say goodbye to McDonald's and Burger King in the East Coast.
Ah, real funny, man. It's not gonna get that bad. It never will be that bad. Like, seriously, can you name any time at all in American history that we didn't actually have food available? Like, come on, man. Like, not even in World War II were we down that bad.
Are you really that fucking stupid? How do you not remember the year 1929?
Well, I'll make that really simple for you. I wasn't even fucking born yet. And, honestly, I don't care because, yeah, I wasn't born yet.
You're a multiversal entity that's witnessed every possible variation in human history, and you're telling me you have never seen the Great Depression? What kind of Vanjik are you?
The powerless kind, who can't do that. You know, for a multiversal entity yourself whose entire job is to keep track of the stories and tales of all the Vanjikis, how do you always forget I'm literally the only powerless one? Like, I can't go through the multiverse, I don't have a magical .44 Magnum revolver that can take down everything from Wendigos to Skinwalkers, and one thing's for definitely uncertain, I have never ever left the timeline because I literally can't. Like, literally, you do this daily now. You come here, you expecting me to know all the shit all the other fucking Vanjikis from the other timelines know, and then you get pissed off when you always find out I don't have any fucking powers.
It's not my fault your timeline is fucking boring. Regardless, people are going to be low on food in the coming weeks. And we have these low-end dock and port workers to thank for it. To think these selfish individuals are letting people starve all over not getting a crappy pay raise.
Hey man, listen, that's easy for you to say. You're literally made out of wires and metal. You don't have a stomach. And more importantly, you don't have a paycheck, man. Like, you have no clue how detrimental a paycheck is in America. Like, let me tell you, been on the jobless end for the past few months, and, yeah, let me tell you, it's a bit rough. I actually completely understand why these people want their money, man. Like, I don't blame them at all. Like, hey, money's money, you need money to survive, and the food on the store shelf ain't gonna do you any good if you can't survive to get it.
They make on average of $30,000 to $54,000 a year, including the fact of that workers may also receive compensation for their medical treatment, and mileage, and transportation expenses. Those who are unable to return to their previous line of work are eligible for vocational rehabilitation benefits. Death benefits are available to families of dock workers who do not recover from their injuries, along with basic medical, dental, and vision coverage. These fools are doing better than most 9-to-5 workers, and they are crying about it.
Okay, wait, hold on, let me double check that. Oh my god, you're right! Why the fuck are they crying? They are literally doing better than half of America.
Their top workers can also earn $60K or more, along with the fact that management and supervisor roles exist with extra benefits.
Okay, but with that being said, before we even get into this or think about making the video, what started all of this anyway?
This initially started as a way to stop automation and robotics from taking over. To a lesser extent, this was also made to halt AI from being a talking point among the higher-ups and corporate fat cats. However, a majority of workers, once the strike went live, were offered a 50% compensation increase. After that, they called it the final straw and went on with the strike.
Wait. They were offered more money and still said to hell with all of us? What?
That is exactly my point. They are hurting innocent people who need food even after the job offered more than fair compensation. And no offense to the workers, but I think human beings are more worried about if food is in stores. So with that being said, are you going in or not?
Well, with it being put like that, I don't think I have a whole lot of a choice now, do we? Let's get into it, everybody. Yes, that is right, everybody. Dock workers, port workers all across the East Coast and down in the Gulf are going on strike. Now, this has arguably been a long time coming. The talks of automation and all that have been happening for a while. But I think most people actually thought, considering how vital of an industry this is, talks would happen, meetups would occur, 50-50 agreements would occur. You know what I mean. Agreements would be reached, and we figured this would probably just go over without much issue because, again, dock workers, port workers, well, docks and ports in general throughout all of human history are literally vital for getting anything in terms of shipping in. And however, I do think we also need to point out the fact there is such a thing as air shipping now. Crazy thing, we have planes. Planes are wonderful. So I think even if ports shut down, a lot of shit will just end up getting shipped through the skies to much lesser extents, obviously, because you can't fit as much on a plane as you can a boat or a ship. But that's just how it will probably go, because knowing these companies, they will need to find other ways of getting shit in, which is to be expected, and we will probably see it pretty quickly here. That's my prediction anyway. But obviously, we have a lot of jarring facts around this. News is still coming out, stories are still coming out. A skit from the beginning of the video put aside, we do that skit so people can laugh a little bit. But it really is that concerning. It really is genuinely that concerning. Because when you're talking about making sure food is on stores and making sure people have the availability to eat things, I don't think I need to outline the fact that the will of the workers is put to a much lesser need, obviously. Hate being that guy here, but if you have a few thousand people who are bitching about job compensation versus a few million people saying, hey, we can't eat because there's no food in the stores, then yeah, I think we all know which one is more important here. Let's not mix words. And I also really hate to be that guy here, but if we're literally talking about shipping, if we're talking about cargo, if we're talking about warehouse, if we're talking about ports, if we're talking about anything involving moving of goods, I really hate breaking it to people, but you don't need a human being there anymore. You don't. That's just the reality. You do not need a human being there anymore. There is no need for a human being. The only reason you need a human being is for supervisor and manager roles and to make sure everything's going accordingly. Like literally, in terms of working the docks and ports, this could have been automated as soon as the early 2000s. Let's be real here. Like, factories by that point were reaching heavy automation for much less needed things that were much less important. So when it comes to shipping these goods around, if this protest was aimed to stop automation, if it was aimed to stop AI, if it was aimed to stop any of that stuff, I think all they've done is encourage it. Let's be honest here. Like, used guys were literally in mass too. Like, we're literally offered a 50% raise, like a 50% compensation increase, and this is something that articles are going 50-50 on. Some articles are saying it was going to stay that I'm looking at here. Other articles are saying it wasn't, was and wasn't, it's a whole debate because random facts floating around the internet and all that. And genuinely, I wish I was just like by one of these dock towns or port towns. I am not. If I was down in Philly, I probably would be seeing some of this, and I could probably actually go down to the docks, interview people, see what's going on, and actually get a vibe for how malicious this all is. because if we're talking about people getting food. We're not talking about doctors performing surgery. We're not talking about medicines being crafted and shipped. When I think about things that people flip out on when automation is or is not applied, I think about actual vital roles. I think about doctors, I think about firefighters, I think of police officers, I think about government officials, I think about city council members, things that make the world go, things that make sure policies stay in place, and things that ultimately make sure you are alive, make sure that you don't get shot, make sure that they can do surgery on you, make sure that your house doesn't burn down. You get what I'm saying. When I think of things when automation should not be applied, I think of actual vital roles that are either life-saving or government-oriented. I hate breaking it to you because I'm roped in when I give this wider example, because food worker here. Well, I used to be a food worker anyway. I wouldn't mind going back into the food industry, but it's a kind of a broken dream at this point. But reality is you don't need food workers. You don't. The automation could deal with all of that. Reality is you don't need someone keeping care of books in a library. A robot could do all that. Reality is we have so many jobs here in the modern era, and I hate being that guy, but you don't need people. You don't. Like, if you're writing scripts for a video, that's one thing. You need human emotion, you need human thought because your audience is reaching out to humans. And which is why AI fails 99.9% of the time when trying to make something entertaining for humans. AI really only ever makes something entertaining for humans when humans are heavily monitoring it and putting in human influence. Hence the AI presidents. Presidents play horror games, presidential Discord server. But those are just examples of within story writing of how AI can actually be funny when there's heavy human influence. And we're not talking about story writing here. I'm just covering AI in general. But with all that being said, if we don't need people in these roles, and honestly, I don't want people in these roles if it's going to result in food not getting put on the store shelves. I genuinely can't care what the reason for your protest or strike is if it is inevitably going to hurt people, which I don't think is really a controversial opinion. Sorry, you can unsubscribe or shoot me when I'm walking down the street. It doesn't matter. We're talking about human beings making sure they can eat. And also, I want to heavily point out, we're moving towards a world where universal income is probably going to be the norm anyway. Because with robots taking over jobs, with automation, with AI and all that stuff, the reality is we do not need a lot of humans in these roles anymore. And what you should really be protesting for is fair payment after you lose the job. That's the reality. I know you don't want to lose your job, but the reality is you do not need your job if automation and robots are involved. I know it would involve heavy policy switching and all that, but here's the cold cut turkey. I'm pretty sure if robots did all of our jobs for us and supplied the same amount of overall work output or more, the same amount of adding to the supply chain or more adding to the supply chain, making sure resources are more available, I'm pretty sure if that's the reality, the government could afford to cut everyone a check of $20 an hour for the rest of their lives just for being alive. And then that would literally cover all your living expenses. Well, if we can get inflation to go down, that is. We gotta keep some jokes in. But that is really my point. You're protesting the wrong thing. Your protest isn't even justified because you're literally hurting people by doing the protest. I'm getting flashbacks to 2020s with all those quote-unquote protests that did nothing but hurt people. And I understand this is going to be a sour opinion. I already understand, even though none of this is controversial and it's just me being honest, there are going to be people wimping out and crying about it in the comments. Or maybe not, because knowing YouTube, this will probably get a total of 5 views, and then all 5 of those people will be people who aren't even subscribed anyway. But all that's besides the point. We are in the modern era, and if you're gonna protest over reasons, make sure you're protesting for the right reasons. And again, automation and shipping is something we've been expecting for years now, and it's something people are more for than against. And that's just the reality of it. Because if you have a robot doing everything, you don't need to pay medical compensation for a robot. It's that simple. It's really that simple. I don't want to be that guy, but I have to be that guy here. I have to be realistic. if anything, we should be protesting the government gives us universal income and actually supplies us for the fact that robots are starting to do everything for us, you know? I'm just saying, crazy ideas here, you know? If everything's robots, I'm pretty sure the government can afford to give you $20 an hour for the rest of your life. Like, not a crazy concept. It really isn't, because if you're replacing everyone with a robot who doesn't need to be paid, you can just pay the people to not work. It's that simple. Anyway, guys, I've been Johnny Von Duke. This has been me tearing a bunch of dock and port workers a new one because no sympathy, no care. I'm not going to have sympathy or care. Later on today or tomorrow, we're going to have another video, not about this, but about the tax situation with the people released from the Russian prison. Hope you all look forward to that in the next news video, or rather opinion piece. My opinions are honestly pretty dog shit, but who fucking cares? Because I'm just a generic white guy on the fucking internet anyway. I have been Johnny Von Duke, and I'll see you all next time. Rock on. Peace out. Or maybe not peace this time. We're not exactly facing a lot of peace and love nowadays.